Welcome to the Bring Your Product Idea to Life podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're getting started selling products or if you'd like to create your own product to sell. I'm Vicky Weinberg, a product creation coach and Amazon expert. Every week, I share friendly, practical advice as well as inspirational stories from small businesses. Let's get started. Hi, so today on the podcast, I'm speaking to Flora Leung. Flora is a product consultant specialising in turning market and consumer insights into innovative, impactful products. Her work revolves around using data-driven research and creative strategies to help businesses craft products that stand out in the market. So I invited Flora onto the podcast to talk all about customer and market research. So the importance of doing that, how you can use the information you get from finding out more about the market and your competitors and your customers to either develop a product if you've got one in development at the moment, and also how to use what you find out to improve your existing products. This was a really great conversation. There are lots of useful and actionable points in here, and I cannot wait to now introduce you to Flora. So hi Flora, thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thank you so much. So happy to be here, Vicky.
So can you please start by you giving an introduction to yourself, your business, and what you do?
Yeah, so my name is Flora Leung, and my company is Aspire Marketing Studios. I am a product consultant that helps businesses and also business owners and startups, brands to understand the market through data. So I basically help them shape the product and hopefully launch a strategy that resonates with the customers based on data.
Amazing. So I've invited you here to talk about all kinds of research. So let's start out with let's take market research first of all, because there's two things we're going to cover today, but let's start with market research. Could you explain to us what market research is and why it's important that product businesses do it?
Yeah, because I think from my experience in dealing with a lot of startups or small business owners, the research step is normally skipped or not invested in just to understand the market. So when I say market research, it's really to understand who your competitors are, who are buying the products, what customers are paying for the products, and how your product will measure if you compare it to the other players in the market. So really, at the end of the day, is to highlight what really makes your product stand out from a sea of noise. You know,
amazing. Yeah. That makes sense. So I guess it's kind of seeing where your product fits in amongst all the other similar products out there.
That too. And also when you're also building a product or creating a product, you also could find the piece that's missing that you could incorporate into your product that makes you stand out.
That makes sense. And so what kind of things can we find out from doing market research? And can you give us maybe a few examples or an example of something we might find out through our market research that might help us with our own product development?
Yeah, certainly. So like I said before, some of the things that I take a more of a customer-centric approach, which I really focus on the competitors and what value, who is buying the product and what value it brings to the customer. So, for example, I was recently, and this is a more of a simpler example, is that recently I was in the market for shopping and buying a coffee mug. So there's a sea of coffee mugs out there, right? But I know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that holds the temperature for my drinks and something that is leak proof. And you go on Amazon, there's like tons of products out there. But I know there's only a handful of companies that I'm going to buy for, which is, but I know what I'm looking for. But for example, if a customer knows what they're looking for in a coffee mug, they want something that has a straw. They want something that has cool colors and retro style, or something that has a handle for the mug. Then these are the things that you just have to drill down on and incorporate it into into your products with research. Now we're dipping into a little bit of the customer research now, because now just to understand what they're looking for through product reviews that you see online, like dipping into, aside from market research, which is looking into the pricing, what the landscape is like in terms of the other players that is selling similar products as yours. The customer research piece is really to hone down on what is working, the positive and negative reviews of products similar to yours in the market. And you pick up those pieces and then analyze to see which worked and doesn't work in the market. So it really helps save you time and money, and avoids those heartbreaking mistakes. It's like, oh, you think in your heart, for a lot of small business owners, you think in your heart, this is the best product. But sometimes you just have to read and understand what the customers really want and pinpoint it down from there.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you. And we'll talk a little bit more about customer research later and some of the other things we can do. But I think looking at reviews sounds like a really good sort of crossover between market research and customer research, because I guess you're looking at your competitors' products, but you're finding out specifically what a customer likes and dislikes about that product. So then you can incorporate that into your own.
Yes, absolutely.
So reviews sound like a really useful way of doing that. How else can we carry out our own market research? What are the other things that we could go out and do ourselves?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get really intimidated with the word research alone, because they think it's cumbersome or it's complicated. However, you just have to pay attention to what's presented to you, either online, around you, where you're walking down the street, and just focus on a few things. Like I said, you have a product. Let's say you have a product already. Who in the market right now are selling something similar to yours? How much are they selling it for? And what exactly, how does your product compare to their product? So those are the simple things that you could get from like walking down a market or scrolling through Amazon. You could easily pick up those information and just take notes on it, and then see what customers are saying. If you're Amazon, like, see what customers are saying about that product as well. And those are just basic information you could refer to. Just this helps you make wiser decisions and get you out of that. Because when you're creating a product and when you're marketing a product, a lot of people could easily get tunnel visioned. So it brings you a little bit back into the reality and the landscape of the market.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's really helpful, because you may or may not know, Flora, I specialise in helping people sell their products on Amazon and working with small business owners. And I carry out very similar steps on Amazon, particularly because I think it's such a crowded marketplace that unless you know who else is there in your category, who else is selling something similar, it's hard to know how to make yourself stand out. So unless you've got a really good understanding of what everyone else is doing, it's hard to think about how you position your product, like what makes yours different, what angle do you go for that no one else is? Because as you know, on any marketplace, online or in real life, there's so much variety now, there's so much choice for everything, and there has to be a reason why someone picks up yours versus someone else's.
Exactly. And that's where we rely so much on consumer data and feedback from these platforms as well. If it's something already in the market, right? If the product is already something in the market, then like how exactly are you going to message? How are you going to speak to the customers about the benefits that your product has to offer and how different it is for them?
And let's say that you're in the stage of developing your product. So maybe you've got an idea for, we'll use coffee mug because we spoke about it before. So say you have an idea, you want to create a new coffee mug. How can you use market research to inform the details of your product. So you want a mug, and how can we then use customer research to sort of really refine what the product is? Market research. Sorry, we'll talk about customers after.
Okay. So when you look at market research, I'm going to focus a little bit more on the customer analysis. So let's say you have, are we sticking with the example of a coffee mug?
We can, or we can go for some, if you've got a better example, go for it.
Definitely.
I tend to just throw things out of my head.
Yeah, I'm going to compare like something a little bit more cross of a service and a product, which is, I'm recently working with a client, which is a player in the co-working space. So they're in real estate. So in order to understand how to make the product and service stand out more, you have to look at, like I said before, the competitors analysis. Pick 3 top competitors that you have, and then drill down on the must-haves of the product, of the service. Like, what are the must-haves the product needs or the service needs to be comparable to the market, like to even compete and a customer will place you side by side with the top competitors in the market. Like, what are the must-haves? The second is, what are the key performance and the benefits of that particular product of the competitors? Like, list it out. Like, maybe it's hospitality, maybe it's cleanliness, maybe it's privacy, for the customers, and rank them. Like, is it, are they investing low effort into it, or medium or high effort into these performance benefits? And then the last is like, what are some of the lighters that customer didn't realize that bring them so much happiness about this product that maybe is overlooked in the market? So some of the things that you look at is like the must-haves, and then what are the features and benefits of this particular product that they are talking about. So once you identify the features, products, but more importantly is the value, what the value it brings to customer and what problem it's trying to solve for customers. I think when you're building a marketing and messaging around the product, you need to focus on the value. Not only, maybe it saves time for the customers, maybe it saves money for the customers, but what it comes down to is the problem that you're trying to solve.
That makes sense. And leading on from that, is there a way we can use, so let's say, coming back to the example, we're looking on Amazon and we're looking at some competitor products, and maybe we're looking at the 1-star reviews and we can see the things that people aren't so happy with. Is there a way that we can use these to refine our product?
Of course, because based on the negative reviews are a treasure trove of information, because what's not working. And you cannot go down that path to create unhappy customers. So because someone already made the mistake for you and you're learning from their mistake. So that's where I think I would leverage the negative review on.
So that could be really useful, and perhaps provide a way for you to differentiate yourself from the competitors.
Exactly. So I actually pay attention more to the negative reviews more than the positive reviews, just because you could get a lot more, what to go after.
That makes sense. So I was wondering about customer research and how we can use that to either shape a product we might be developing or refine how we might position an existing product.
Yes. So I think if you have an existing product already, then that's even better, because you already have customers that have used your products and you have real life data and feedback from them. When I launched my skincare product years ago, it was my first business. I have 3 products, and I took it across country from New York to California to start selling it in person. And from there, I got from those repeat customers when I was standing there in the market, standing there selling my products. They give me a lot of feedback on what was their experience when using the product, what was their experience after using the face mask, and ideas to maybe make improvements. And I take notes of those information. And maybe it took a little too long to dry for the face mask, or maybe it was too hard to mix because it was powder form. So I have to substitute certain ingredients to make it a little bit more easier for customers to use, to hopefully create more return customers and purchases from that experience. So it's a lot about, especially if you have existing products, with those information, you could optimize. That is where you could make it better or make changes that didn't work. But also, if you have one key product, maybe the information you get for custom research is to get a secondary product. For example, like you have a face wash. Maybe now you could create a moisturizer based off of those information. Because now you know your customer best from feedback. And it could be either features, the benefits, the skin problems they want to tackle, for this example. You could create it around that. Mm-hmm.
That's really helpful. Thank you. So how could we use a customer research if we are in the design phases? We don't have a product yet, but we're just in the design and development phase. How can we use research from our customers to help shape the products?
Yeah, I feel it is very important not to just look at customer research, especially in the beginning stages. That early on, it's really important to take market research and customer research hand in hand. So when you look at the market information, look at some, for example, like you have to look at some of the players in the market, so you could know what they're doing, what they're doing, but also how they're selling their products. How are they speaking to customers? And in what aspect of the features of the products they are investing their money on communicating? How are they educating their customers about what their product could do for the customers? In terms of leveraging your customer research information, I would advise looking at marketplace websites like Amazon, or if you have a marketplace that's larger. In the US, there's like Costco and Walmart websites. Look at what similar products are, how they're selling, how they're listing out their features as well, the language that they use, the keywords that they use as well when they're displaying their features online. But also, more importantly, are like I said, the reviews. Nothing is more important than understanding the feedback piece of a customer to help you shape, to help you not only build a product that resonates for them, but also where to invest your time and money on something that is important to customers. Sometimes it's like when we're budgeting for small business owners, when we're budgeting, it could be limiting, and your time is limited for business owners. You're wearing so many different hats. So it's very important to know where to invest your time and something that resonates to customers that really helps them when using the product. So I think those are key things that when building a product you should focus on is on a customer research piece is understanding not only the positive and negative feedback, but digging into it, understanding the feedback in a way where what is important to them, so you know how to budget your time and resources, limited resources for small business owners.
That makes sense. And when we're looking at our competitors and how they are positioning their products, so perhaps we're noticing the features that they're choosing to highlight whether that's in their product listing or in an ad or whatever. Are we taking from that those are the things that customers care about and we should be focusing on the same? Or do we take it that actually we need to come from a different angle because we don't want to be a replica of existing products?
That's exactly it. You don't want to be a replica, or no one wants to build a company with a similar logo than their competitors, or so it's just so to find a way you could stand out. Maybe there is there's always a gap. It's like when I'm in the market and looking for a protein source when I'm working out, or when there's so many protein sources out there. There's protein bars, a shake, but a lot, if you're particularly looking for something healthier, maybe you want to sell something more natural, then make suggestions on promoting recipes, and less processed items, right? There's always an understanding what your audience is looking for, who your audience is, and how much they're willing to spend on this solution that you're offering. I think it's really key so like what is your base cost, and then factoring your margin into the building the product, and then will that pricing work after you account for all of it?
That makes sense. And are there any other ways we can find out what our customers are thinking? So let's say we have a product in mind, we know who our ideal customers are. So whether we're still in that design phase or whether we started selling, is there anything we can be doing other than looking at the product reviews and feedback that will help give us some insight into our customers?
Yeah, certainly. If you are, if your competitor's products are in a store, or if your competitor's service has a service, I would pose. I've done it before. I would call in or walk in a store and ask the salesperson to talk to me. Like, I just want to observe how they're selling it to me. Because now you're having the piece where how are they educating the product and the benefits that they're presenting, how they're selling it to me. So I would, at that point, take keynotes like a secret shopper, if you would say, as a secret shopper, because and again, depending on what you're selling, just to get that key information on what messaging they're focusing on. Maybe they're doing a demonstration of the product. How are they demonstrating and using the product in front of customers? I think a lot of people see demonstrators in like Costco or Walmart, just to demonstrate the product and show them how it works, but also like how easy it will make the lives of the customer, improve the lives of the customer. I think understanding how it's being educated is really, to the customers, is really important as well. But also, like, you could even do it in your bed with market research and customer understanding. Like, when you're browsing a product, later on you will, because there's a lot of retargeting marketing online, go to a product website. Later on, just pay attention where it will reappear as you browse through the product. So like, oh, this company is marketing it using Instagram through this vehicle. Then you will know, okay, maybe I will not use it on Instagram ads. I will not invest in Instagram ads, but then use it maybe on TikTok, for example. So you will know, like, you will dodge the major players in the market and what vehicles they're using. And then like, oh, I'm invested in more maybe more grassroots type of promotion and activities like that.
That makes a lot of sense. I hadn't actually thought about that, but actually, if you go onto the same platform, let's say Instagram, as your example, where everyone else is advertising, it's going to be a lot harder. And I know this makes so much sense, but I hadn't actually thought of that, because I think a lot of us think, oh, everyone's here, therefore I should be here as well.
Yeah, but you're also competing and butting heads with a lot of the same players at the same time. And then you know what? You're paying a lot more for the ad feeds just because you're butting heads.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think it makes so much sense, but actually it's not that intuitive for a lot of us. I think a lot of us think, oh, everyone else is there, we should be there too, because you feel like you have to join in. But you're right, and ads get very expensive. The more people, as you'll know, start bidding for the same search terms and keywords, the price goes up, and then everyone gets less visibility as well.
Yeah, and a lot of companies, actually, I used to work for, I have a client actually, for dental hygienic products, and they used to spend a lot of money on online advertising, and they still do. It's just that they just limited the budget now for online advertising, and then focus more on more traditional pieces, which is the direct marketing, the mailing, and catalogs, just because now it's physically in front of other people and it's not so saturated on just depending online. It's just so much noise and it's hard to stand out. Like you said, it gets so expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. It gets really hard to stand out because everywhere's getting so crowded. So it makes a lot of sense to go against where everyone else is. And what about customers? So is there any other way we can find out what our customers or potential customers are thinking other than reviews? Is there anything else we could be doing? Should we want to?
Yeah. Another way I like to do is to look at if it's a bigger competitor, and I depend on a lot of my research on competitor, is if they have a forum on an online community. Sometimes a lot of the, you can search those hashtags. If you're in a market for a new smartphone, there are tons of discussion and conversations online in forums. And Reddit's alone, actually, if there's Reddit. I don't know if there's Reddit in UK, but
there is, yeah.
If there's Reddit, definitely go there. But if you go to, I think Google search will give you a lot of those conversations. I don't want to name too many of those forums, but
well, that makes sense because there'll be lots of different ones.
There's a lot of different ones, and I don't know, like US has different ones, UK and different country have different ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't want to name specific one, and then you go search and then just be disappointed. But
of course.
Yeah, but there's also, aside from like those major discussion forums, but there's also like more tech focused if you're in that market, or depending on what industry you are, like if you're in tech or if you're in consumer goods, they have their own discussion forums in online that you could search and see what people are saying about your competitors' products, or even your existing products if you have your products out there in the market already. And go from there.
That's a really good point. I was just about to say, I think a lot of us maybe look at our Amazon reviews or our website reviews, but I wonder how many of us have gone to Reddit, for example, and searched for our products to see what other conversations people are having.
Yeah, and that's totally it. What conversations are having. Pick out the negatives, the positive, but also focus on the areas of improvement. Like that is a treasure trove that you could hopefully incorporate on, not only for your own products though, but like areas of improvement for the other products too that are out there in the market.
And I guess the questions people are asking as well, I always find that quite useful, because I think if people are asking a lot of questions, it possibly means that you haven't done all you could in explaining your product to people.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of times, and that's it, it's the education piece. It's like, maybe I'm not using the right tools. Maybe a PDF file is not enough. Maybe I need to create a video to take through the steps by step on how to use the product and really, like get the true benefits of using the product. For example, like a face oil or a moisturizer. Sometimes maybe they're applying it wrong. Maybe they're using too much. That's causing the problem. That is not intended for the product. A lot of people react to materials very differently, or they like to receive training or product information very differently. Maybe you want to go through a webinar, like just understanding those pieces. Maybe they like lavender or unscented for the skincare product. There's just so much you could dig into on the preferences and understanding why they're buying your product in the first place.
Yeah, and with that in mind, what value do you think there is in speaking to your customers or surveying your customers? What value do you think there is in that? Do we need to be doing that? Can we do everything online?
Yeah, totally. In terms of surveying customers, I think it's really important, especially depending on how you structure your business and understanding the customer journey and what touch points make sense to survey the customers. You wouldn't be surveying a customer for Amazon, someone who purchased an Amazon product. You wouldn't survey a customer when they purchased. You have to wait like maybe a week or two for them to actually use the product. And then you ask them, how was your experience with the product? So the timing is key when it comes to that. And in terms of incorporating survey results into developing a product, I think keeping the survey short and sweet is key. You don't want to turn a customer off when you're giving them like a 10 question survey after a $20 purchase. That may be a lot. So keep it short, like 3 to 5 minutes, I think would be an ideal timing. And ask them like, how would you rate your experience when using this product? Did it bring you the results that you're looking for? Ask for, okay, if you were to improve one thing about this product, what would it be? Those are just some of the examples that you could ask. And you could even ask about, in the past, have you used a product like this that's similar from another competitor or from another company? And you can ask this information. But those are real data because more relevant in timing as well, because it's probably within a few weeks of purchase. So it's definitely more relevant.
Yeah, and it sounds like this is something to think about when you have a product already selling rather than in the development stage, because at that point it's very, I don't know if heretical is the right word, but I know, for instance, when I used to have a range of products, and before my first product I did a bit of customer research, and I was asking people, oh, how much would you pay for this product? And the numbers people were throwing out were wild. They're from here to here, because it's not a real question. It's not tangible. Whereas I feel like when you have a product and you can say to someone, what do you think about the pricing? They can say, yes, it seems fair, or it's too much or too little. But I don't know what your view on this is, but I found it really difficult to ask questions about something that didn't yet exist. Because people find it really hard. And also they kind of want to please you, I think, in their answers as well.
Yeah. So when I was, I had, later on after the skincare product company I was exploring a range of other products. And once I have a prototype that I was happy with, that is measurable to what's out there in the market, then I would rely on I would create focus groups of my friends and family. And also, like, if I have, cause I had like a little following on Instagram. So I would ask people I don't know and be like, hey, I am trying to test something out. Would you be interested in inputting on feedback on some products? And some people would say yes. You'd be surprised how many people would have like a reason to get out of the house to meet at a coffee shop to test out a product. You know what I'm saying? So you never know, especially with the power of the internet. If you throw a question out in the universe, you will get some answers. And even if they are not physically around you, if you're willing and have the budget to, and they're willing to, you could mail them some products and get their feedback from there. When I did it, I actually have a lot of I have like parties. I have like skincare parties, and I have surveys at the end of the party. Like, guys, and they're like in crummy jars, right? They're perfectly great products, but like in crummy jars that I created. And they're like, can you test out these products for me? And this is the step how to use it. I got to educate them. Like, I got to explain it and educate them how to use it. And then tell me what you liked or didn't like. Was it too oily? Was the skin and product too oily? Should I pull this scent back? Should I substitute? Tell me all these information. And then they will, I told them to be brutal. I mean, New Yorkers are really blunt people. New Yorkers are really blunt people, so they are not afraid of sharing their honest opinion. But you were trying to say something before I accidentally interrupted you.
No, you didn't. I was about to say that I think the difference is from what we're talking about is I think when I did it myself all these years ago, I didn't have a product for people to actually give feedback on. And I think this is the difference. I think the reason it works so well for you because you had something to show people and say, does this work? Does this not work? And I think that's where I went wrong. And I just wanted to highlight that for people because I think that's potentially where my research wasn't as valuable because I had a concept but nothing to show people. And I think that's why the data I was receiving wasn't as valuable.
Because I see what you're saying.
Everyone is probably visualizing something slightly different. I think it's much more valuable when you have, as you say, prototypes or something to show people can actually use.
Mm-hmm. Is your question around, it's just an idea, but maybe they haven't even gotten to the prototype stage. How will research benefit?
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of research would be the most beneficial, I guess is the question, because I feel like research is good at every stage. So I was wondering if you're at that prototype stage, what is the most beneficial type of research you could be doing? Because as I say, what I did didn't work. So it'd be great to leave people with, this is what you could do instead.
And if it's at the concept stage at this point, I think what I would do and what information I will look for is my idea and the concept, does it currently exist in the market? Is it readily available to other people? If it is, then I think another question is, what makes this concept unique if it's already in the market? I think it really depends, right? Because this concept, and now we're getting into really abstract because it's just a concept, right? And a lot of people go into rabbit hole with in the beginning stages, especially. But I think what people who only has a concept need to focus on is what value it brings to customers if it does exist. And does the value trump anything else that's currently in the market? I think that's more important than what are you selling it for? Who are your competitors?
Yeah.
So I think it really comes down to the problem it solves for customers, the benefit it brings, and the value. If after looking, if it doesn't even exist, it's so new that it doesn't even have competitors, then that's gold. Build a prototype. Go and find an engineer, or I don't know what type of product, depending on what the product is, build a prototype. There's no need to wait.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for answering that. I wanted to cover that because we'd spoken about what we could do if we had an existing product and how we could use research to refine it. So I really wanted to take it to that very, very beginning stage, as there will be people listening who perhaps have a great idea and think, now what, how do I, what do I do? Because I think research is so important, as you've said, and there's a lot that you can do, but I think it sounds like there's a lot to be said for doing the right pieces at the right stage of the process.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I think with just a concept, you wouldn't jump straight to pricing, for sure.
Yes, and I think it's very easy, isn't it, though, to get carried away and maybe jump too far ahead, which is why I wanted to cover that with you. So thank you, because I think that's really valuable.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for everything that you've shared. I have one final question, if that's okay, before we wrap up.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
So what would your number one piece of advice be when it comes to customer and market research?
Yes. I think a lot of, from my experience in creating a product myself and also helping business owners to develop their products and research for their products, I noticed that a lot of people hesitate to launch their product because they want it to be perfect. And I think that is sometimes a little bit, it holds the business owner back to, because at that point, maybe it's like you said earlier, maybe the product is just a concept. So you don't really have real data for it. Or maybe you already have, it's a product in addition to an existing product line that you have. In either way, it's always good to leverage on actual customers who are using that particular product. You could always optimize and tweak and refine as you go. But I think a lot of people spend too long in the development stage of product creation and research. So I need to get it right. I need to get it right. It has to be perfect. But you don't know. You can't, I guess, predict what customers have in mind once they use the product. So launch it and see what they say. If it's a bust, pull back a little, gather all the information, and make it better, make the changes. If it works, great. Still make notes on what worked and then how you could improve it from there. So don't stop yourself. Don't slow down. Launch it. Don't wait until it's perfect. I think that's my one piece of advice for business owners.
I think that is brilliant advice. Thank you. Because I feel like there's definitely, the camp of people who perhaps don't do any research and rush head first. And of course, we don't recommend that. But then, yes, you can spend a long time, because researching is made for quite fun, feels, quite a productive thing to do. But actually, you're right. There's only so much information you can gather before you say, okay, I've got to make something real. And then,
you got to make it real data, real information, so you can optimize.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for everything you've shared. So I will link to your website and all of your other links in the show notes. And thank you so much.
Thank you. I hope that was helpful. I'm excited to have this conversation and share that information with everyone.
Well, it's brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. If you've been inspired to start a podcast in 2024, I really recommend my podcast host, Captivate. Captivate were my top pick when I started podcasting 4 years ago because of how easy it was for a complete novice like me to get started. I've stuck with them for the last 4 years because Captivate is still really simple to use. They keep adding great new features like the ability to share ads like these, and they've just been really reliable. So when you're ready to start your own podcast, you can use the link in the show notes and get a free 7-day trial with Captivate.